It still has not set in yet that a live-action Zelda movie is happening. While it's still a ways off, we can't help but think about how it's going to shape up. What's it going to look like? What story will it tell? Who's going to play Tingle? But instead of speculating all that, we're going to dissect everything we do know about the Zelda movie so far, more specifically, who is attached to this film, and right now there's only 4 key members involved in the production. Let's start with the man himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of The Legend of Zelda and most of Nintendo's iconic IPs like Mario, in which he served as the producer on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. He also oversaw the development of Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios, so he's an important figurehead at Nintendo, needless to say. So it's no surprise he's producing the Legend of Zelda film, what with it being one of his many creations. In fact, he revealed in a recent investor Q&A that he had been discussing this project with co-producer Avi Arad for about 10 years, stating that movies are just like games and that you need to spend a lot of time working on them until you get something you're satisfied with. While it's unclear exactly what Miyamoto and Arad discussed in those 10 years, it sounds like they're approaching the Zelda movie with great care. Now, who is Avi Arad? He's the founder of Arad Productions, who's producing the movie along with Nintendo. Arad himself has 68 producer credits with 11 upcoming films as well. I mean, 10 films. I don't know why IMDb counted the Zelda film twice. Most of his works are superhero films and TV series, namely Spider-Man and his many foes like Venom and Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
He also helped kick off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, being the founder of Marvel Studios and producing Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. So even though Spider-Man is his bread and butter, he dips his toes into other superhero franchises as well. What's interesting is that the Zelda movie is not his first time working on a video game movie, as he also produced Uncharted and the upcoming Borderlands and Metal Gear Solid films. It seems like he's starting to see the box office potential in movies based on video games. Even then, he has an executive producer credit on the short-lived Double Dragon animated series from 1993 to 94. So you could say he's been in this game for a while. While not all of the movies he's produced have been critical darlings, he definitely is responsible for some impactful films that have changed the industry. Given that he and his company work with Sony Pictures Entertainment, they will be co-financing the Zelda movie along with Nintendo, the latter of which is financing more than 50% of it. Now that's mostly the business side of the Zelda movie, let's get to the creative side. Starting with screenwriter Derek Connolly, who's worked on numerous blockbuster films like Jurassic World, Kong Skull Island, and Detective Pikachu, so he has at least one video game adaptation under his belt. He's also one of the 2 writers on the Metal Gear Solid movie, also produced by Avi Arad. Some might look at his line of work and grow a little concerned, given that some of these films have not been well received, namely Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker and Jurassic World Dominion. But what's important to note is that movies are complex projects that do not live and die by the hands of one person. In fact, none of these movies were written only by Derek Connolly, rather a team of a few writers. Studio involvement also plays a huge part in how stories turn out. For example, even though Miyamoto is not credited as a writer on the Mario movie, he was responsible for some of the writing choices, like how Mario didn't like mushrooms.
Mushrooms? Everybody loves mushrooms, right?
There is a lot that goes into writing a movie, and more often than not, it doesn't hinge on 1 or even 2 writers. If the Mario movie is a sign of anything, it's that Nintendo and Arad Productions will have great control in determining how the story plays out. Finally, there's the director, Wes Ball, known for the Maze Runner trilogy and the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. God, that title's a mouthful. What's funny is that back in 2010, he tweeted, "Since I can never even hope to have the chance to direct it, the next big mocap Avatar-like movie should be The Legend of Zelda." Now, 13 years later, his dream has come true. Guess you could say he's having a ball. But seriously, it's great to see that he's a Zelda fan, but it's interesting that he said the movie should be a big mocap feature like Avatar. Did he mean it should be a live-action movie, but with some motion capture characters? Or did he mean it should be like Polar Express?
Do you know what kind of train this is?
Joking aside, we wouldn't read too much into that, as it wasn't a serious business proposition, but something he said on a whim 13 years ago at 1:55 a.m. As for the films he's worked on, the Maze Runner trilogy was based on the YA novels of the same name, kind of similar to the Hunger Games in that they feature groups of young people trying to survive dystopian and/or post-apocalyptic conditions. They are big-budget films with massive action set pieces and loads of CGI creatures, which the Zelda movie will more than likely have. Of course, the quality of these films may also lead some people to be concerned about Wes Ball helming the Zelda film, as the first Maze Runner was generally well received, unlike the latter two. And while Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes certainly looks beautiful, we'll have to wait until May to see the finished product. Though it does have some Zelda-like qualities to it, such as big open fields, horseback riding, eagle companions, and big brutish enemies. If this turns out great, then the Zelda movie might be in good hands. However, there is one project of Wes Ball's that's important to note, and it could make clearer his love not only for Zelda, but the fantasy genre as a whole. It's called The Mouse Guard, and if you've never heard of it, that's because it sadly never came to be. It was a passion project for Ball, based on a series of comic books about a group of mouse soldiers. The project was close to entering production in 2019, it even had a star-studded cast including the likes of Andy Serkis, but it was cancelled after the Disney-Fox merger, leaving only this pre-visualization made in Unreal Engine, meant to showcase how the movie would feel, not exactly look. Even then, it looks spectacular, with some cinematic fight scenes involving large animals and some gorgeous stylized environments. That isn't to say the live-action Zelda movie will look exactly like this, but it goes to show that Wes Ball is a director with vision and a clear passion for the fantasy genre, and even though The Mouse Guard never came to be, the Zelda movie might more than make up for that loss. That said, Wes Ball will not have final say in how the Zelda movie turns out, as is normally the case with big-budget studio films. All creative decisions will be approved by the producers, namely Nintendo, as it's their IP and they want to make sure it's done justice on the silver screen. This is likely why Wes Ball got the job directing this movie, as he has experience working on big studio projects while also having a background in fantasy-type films, such as the cancelled Mouse Guard and the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is perhaps the most important project on his resume, as it's a grand epic with gigantic sets, impressive CGI, and loads of action. Also, it hasn't been cancelled like the Mouse Guard film. If he could handle a movie like this, then he's capable of handling a live-action Zelda film. And that is everything we know about the Zelda movie so far. In the end, we wish everyone the best of luck on this project, and we hope they take the time they need to deliver a Zelda movie that is as grand and epic as the series it's based on. Now, we could speculate all day about who will be in the cast, but we have an entire video on the subject, so be sure to check it out if you want more Zelda movie content. Anyway, let us know in the comments below what your hopes and dreams are for the film, and until next time, bye-bye.